Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I'm doing another indie horror spotlight. Today I have with us director Pete Jackalone, and he has a kid-friendly horror short out right now, and it's called Feral Cravings. Pete, welcome to the Horror Room.
Thank you, Travis. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, I've had a chance to see Feral Cravings, but tell my audience a little bit about it.
Okay, well, Feral Cravings is part of a series of short films I'm doing that are kid-friendly, if you will. They feature young actors. I was introduced to horror as a young person. Back in the day, we used to go to the movie theaters. Our parents would drop us off with 10, 11, 12, see things like The Blob and The Silent Earth, and a lot of these movies actually featured young people, teenagers. So they scared the hell out of us. So I always wanted to make movies that can be appealing to young people, that feature young people, and can serve as a transition for young adults from, let's say, Goosebumps into the more extreme horror. So you got to kind of do it easy, but we pull no punches. So Feral Cravings is one in the series, and it's a werewolf coming of age story featuring two teenagers who meet in the woods and. I guess I can give away the part of the answer, but one of the kids is a werewolf, lycanthrope. So they meet and they become friendly. But as in adolescence, when the various hormones take over, so would be true being a young werewolf. I suppose the urges come through, and let me put it this way: it doesn't end very well, but. It was a fun movie to make because I love working with kids, and it's out there now. We're submitted to some festivals. It's getting some acknowledgement, and that's it. What'd you like about it?
I grew up in the '80s, but I grew up watching Goosebumps and even like the Nickelodeon show that was called "Are You Afraid of the Dark?"
Yes,
yes, and I also grew up watching a 5-year-old Texas Chainsaw Massacre also. So so it's a nice little mixture there, but it definitely gives you that, that Are You Afraid of Dark, that Goosebumps feel to it. And those shows were revolutionary, I mean, at the time, because the horror genre did not, have teenage kid friendly horror. And those movies, TV shows, and even books were great.
Yep. Yeah, no, I certainly agree. But I think nowadays kids are a little smarter. I think they need more. They want more. They want more gore.
Yes.
And it's you got to be very careful because you don't want to push the line. You don't want to be too adult. You don't want to be too extreme. So I try to push it as far as possible without crossing the line into what would be objectionable or offensive or scare the hell out of a kid. With Feral Cravings, hired a very good special effects artist. He's Mr. Dead from Dead Productions, and he did a great job, I thought, with the gore makeup as well as the werewolf makeup. So again, we tried to push it, but yet stay within the bounds of acceptability. No one has been too offended by that yet. I don't think so.
And the kid actors in the movie did an excellent job.
Yeah, they're very, very good.
Now, I cannot even imagine being a filmmaker and working with kids. Were they pretty easy to work with? I mean, did you have to get them in line, or?
I tell you, the challenge is getting them. I usually do a casting call on backstage, and with regular actors, of course, you just go right in. You just deal with them, email them, text them, call them. With the young actors, you have to be very careful. You meet the parents first. Everybody has to approve the script. A certain trust has to be gained. Yeah. And fortunately, with these young kids, Alex Aspar and Jordan Magazine, I've worked with them before. I worked with them actually when they were about 10. In that film, they're 13. So I already gained the trust of parents. At that point, the parents just drop them off. And they know we're not going to do anything too crazy with them. But no, they are so much fun. They're really. They get it. We laugh a lot. There's a lot of fooling around, but when push comes to shove, you just gotta, you get serious. I try to also use younger, crew, film students, recent film grads. So it's I'm pretty old, but I love working with younger people because they're pretty sharp.
Yes,
But so it was a
technology.
challenge. But once they get into it, that was hard because it was in the middle of the woods, and we had to kind of trek the actors, the effects, the crew, the camera out there, and we're sort of stuck out there. It's a hot summer day, so that made it a little bit challenging. And there is an interesting story about that. The end scene where the kid is screaming his head off. He really he really is good. That Jordan, the victim in that movie, he really gets horror, screaming his head off. So we're coming in. It's at the end of the day, and all of a sudden we see a whole bunch of police cars in the parking lot. There's a local park. Now, we do guerrilla filming. Yes, I obtained permits when appropriate, but I live right here. The park is down the street. We went in. It was just 5 of us. We went deep into the woods. I didn't get a permit or anything. I didn't tell anybody. We just went in there and shot. It's a public park, right?
Yes.
It's a law to shoot videos in a park. Anyway, so we come out and all these cops are there. Fortunately, the kids they were laughing their heads off. The kid is all bloody, blood hanging from him, and then the other kid looks like a werewolf. And we said, we're just shooting some YouTube videos, and everybody laughed it off. It could have turned nasty.
Yeah, I can imagine.
People were screaming, and cops do. People do call the cops a lot around here when they hear people screaming,
which is a good thing.
Yeah, I guess so. But not when it's in your own backyard and you're shooting.
That's true. I know.
I do know the local policemen here, and I sometimes will call them and say, "Hey, I'm shooting. In this place, you might hear screams," and they always tell me, "Well, good, thanks for calling, but we still have to respond if somebody complains. We still have to go in and just to make sure that everything's okay." But I'm glad they didn't come during the production. They could have broke it up. It could have been, it would have been a mess. So we were all finished, and we just wrapped up, and everybody laughed, and we left. Fortunately, so.
So what gave you inspiration for the story of Pharaoh Cravings?
Well, I want to. Well, if you know me, traditionally I work with serial killers. Serial killers are the real monsters.
I've seen.
But something about the historical monsters, vampires, werewolves, zombies. I want to touch upon those classic monsters that scared me, that inspired me. I'm really a fan of the old movies, the original Frankenstein, the original Dracula, original Wolfman. So I just wanted to. I want to do a vampire movie. I want to touch upon all those various genres. With young cast, so this was my attempt at making a werewolf movie. I regret not doing a transition. I mean, that's the classic thing in werewolf movies. John Landos did probably the best in American Werewolf in London, but I think that's one of the best. But,
it is.
So we didn't do that. We just kind of used the old method where he bends down and he comes up and he's a werewolf. But it was a lot of fun just with my take on that, and I hope to do more. I hope to do the zombie film or other monster movies. I am working on a series of these kid-friendly films you'll see coming out in the next few months.
Nice, but I mean it's amazing what you're doing because you're introducing a whole new generation to the classic the classic monsters, the Dracula, the vampires, the werewolves. I mean, because most kids, I mean, I'm trying to think the last time there hasn't been a werewolf movie in a long time. So I mean, unless
there was a bunch of them for Teen Wolf and things like that.
Oh yeah. Twilight, I guess, yeah. But I mean that's still been good 10 years. So I mean,
well, wait a minute. What about the newer Wolfman movie, which I just actually saw a couple of weeks ago?
The one with Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, I remember they did.
But that's been over.
We're bringing back the classic films. I don't even know what studio that is. What studio does the classic? Was that?
You're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and let me see. There was the Wolfman was one, and then the Frankenstein. We're kind of coming back to that universe.
Yeah, the I know what you're talking about. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
The only one I can think about is the one with Tom Cruise that stunk. He
Oh,
played the Mummy. You know,
the
the
Mummy.
Mummy
Yes, yes,
but the Wolfman is a really good. That's the most
yes.
recent one. But that's probably about 10 years old now.
Yeah, that's been over 10 years. But yeah,
Yeah.
there hasn't been a like because I grew up in the era of Silver Bullet and The Howling, and like you said,
Howling, that's a good one.
Werewolf in London and Paris, and
Right.
yeah, and there hasn't been like yes, with the Twilight series and your Teen Wolf,
Mhm.
they kind of been, but there hasn't been like the classic Wolfman
Right.
movie.
It's always good to go back to our original source material. Those old movies were great, and it's always good to give it a new twist. We revisit it with we have advanced makeup. Us independent filmmakers, we do micro budget. By the way, this stuff is really, really low budget, micro budget.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of we can do a CGI now.
Oh,
The
nice.
makeup that we have at our disposal, we can really do Hollywood. We can make things look like $1 million project on just a couple $1,000 or even less, even nothing. Which is good.
Now, how long have you been into filmmaking?
Well, I've been doing filmmaking since 1995. My first film was Psycho Sisters with J.J. North, Theresa Lynn, serial killer movie, and that's out there. It's actually getting a Blu-ray release this
Nice.
year. Shot on film. We shot Psycho Sisters on film. So I started making films back in the mid 90s. I have no formal film training, which I think works to my advantage to an extent because I'm able to do things that other filmmakers that have more training. Well, you can't do that. You got to do this, that. And I said, well, let's just do it. Just shoot it. So sometimes a little ignorant. I mean, I do rely on my crew. I try to hire people that know what they're doing. But with no formal training, I just thought make movies the way I thought they should be made,
Hmm.
and just
As a
one
fan,
leads to another. But yeah, so it's been a good amount of time that I've been doing these low budget films, mainly serial killer themed. I love the idea of we talk about these classic monsters. Well, but they're not real. But when you think about it, monsters are the embodiment of evil in human form. Ghosts, zombies, vampires. These are all in human form, but they're evil inside. But fake. But what is real are serial killers. They are
100%.
indeed the embodiment of evil in human form, and almost like a werewolf can be like Lon Chaney Jr. He's the nicest guy in the world, and all of a sudden he's this incredible monster. Serial killers can come off being very, very pleasant, very nice. The guy next door, even a husband.
Always are.
But they can turn into these monsters. It scares the hell out of me. I think there's nothing more scary than the thought of encountering a serial killer. So that's how I kind of try to play it up. But every once in a while, I'll diverge and go into something a little bit different. But serial killers are really my passion and my fascination ever since I was a kid.
I've been fascinated with serial killers ever since I was a kid. And one of the things about serial killers, which it's it's a way that people think that serial killers look a certain kind of way and act a certain kind of way.
Right.
Somebody will see a creepy dude walking on the street, like, I bet you he's a serial killer. But most serial killers are attractive guys. You know what I mean? They're either attractive or
Yep.
they're normal looking guys.
Right.
And that's how they're able to lure their victims is because they look normal. They look inviting.
Yes.
And they usually have charming personalities.
Yes.
They're not introverts. They're definitely extroverts.
Indeed, they are. They're sociopaths. I mean, John Gacy, he was, the leader of the Boy Scouts. He was head of a political. We had a successful construction business. These people are very well connected, in their communities. Yeah, typically, there are some exceptions. I think Jeffrey Dahmer was a bit of an outcast, but still outgoing. He was able to go out and
outgoing. Yeah,
had a good job. So that's really fascinates me that you just never know when who serial killer might be and when you might encounter them. And I believe I read a statistic not too long ago that the FBI believes there could be as many as 400 active serial killers in America right now that we know aren't caught yet.
I 100% believe it. I 120% believe it.
Yeah. So
Because I mean, what is the definition of a serial killer, right? I mean, because I mean, if you look, it's an individual who kills a lot of people,
mhm.
and they have a signature thing that they do when it comes to killing. You know, I
Yes.
mean, they have a certain way they kill, and they almost have a pattern.
Yes.
And okay, so you know the street dude out there who kills other gang members in the same ritual way, is he
Mhm.
not a serial killer?
It's a fine line. And actually I think that word serial killer is a fairly modern term. I mean, there have been serial killers, people that are mass killers throughout history,
Mm-hmm.
but I think serial killer is that kind of person, almost like a lover that would just love blondes or love certain look. The serial killers focus on certain individuals, whether they're children or whether they're men or certain women. I think that would be the difference between a serial killer and, let's say, just a mass shooter or gang killer that likes to shoot everybody in the head, but it doesn't have that same um, passion or lust.
Yes.
I think that's probably the difference. Serial killers have to have that perverted lust to kill and reason to kill. So, which is
Yes.
very fascinating.
It's definitely fascinating. I've read several autobiography, watched documentaries on serial killers,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what it is, but a lot of times there's some kind of trauma there. You know what I mean? There's
Mm-hmm.
always when it comes to it's interesting. I was talking to somebody else recently, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of people like to say that men and women are the same. We're not, because even and if you break it down to the way we handle trauma,
Mm-hmm.
men handle trauma. Trauma to men equals violence.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to trauma, it goes to another whole level, but it's not violent.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
it's more when a woman is more self infliction. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She's doing things to harm herself.
Mm-hmm.
When a man deals with the way he deals with trauma is by hurting others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting generalization. It's probably true, with the exception of some of the prominent female serial killers. Aren't too many, like Eileen
Yes.
Wuornos. Very very nasty. She certainly externalized her um, dissatisfaction for men for her position. She needed money, so she simply killed men to get what she wanted. But I think that you're probably right. It's a different motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Men might kill to satisfy certain lust. Women maybe to I don't know, but
I feel like women kill for anger and finances.
perhaps, yeah. And then
I
how
feel
do we
like
explain
they do.
those rare children serial killers? Those are I haven't touched upon that yet, but
Yes.
when you find out there's like a 10-year-old that killed some of the neighborhood people, it's a crazy, just
Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's weird. I mean, but I mean, that also goes to into also too like why therapy and mental health is so important.
yeah. But
It's
I don't think it helps in the case of serial killers. But you're right about the trauma. I think John Gacy fell down a flight of stairs, and
there's some kind
um,
of trauma, like even like Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, his parents were
yeah,
alcoholics, you know, and
yeah,
I
they
forgot
would
it.
beat him.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I forgot on West McCall. I forgot who it was, but their mother was a prostitute, and
mhm,
he would see her, you know, get raped by men and
mhm,
do sexual acts in front of him, and like I just feel like, you know, as a child, when you see
mhm.
shit like that, it definitely fucking gives you a different way
Right.
thinking, you know,
Well,
seeing
most of
life.
us react in a more mellow way. I think we might have anger still, but it just takes that extra, you know, perversion to take out that anger and kill. And like John Gacy, his father named him John Wayne. He thought he had a macho kid. but turns out John Gacy was gay, so his father, reprimanded him for that. So John Gacy chose victims that were primarily gay, and he was essentially killing himself.
Yes.
Whereas somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer, his father, he was killing his father. So I think sometimes these killers externalize their trauma on their victims. They make their victims either their mother or their father or themselves. Sometimes actually killing themselves in their own mind. So
I'm shocked that we haven't seen more women serial killers. I'm shocked that we haven't.
I am too, because the women I know, I don't think you want to get on their bad side for in
Exactly.
Well, that's true with anybody, I think, but women, if they wish, can be particularly vindictive or violent. So let's hope that they do, stay as they are, and are able to keep their violence.
And I feel like women. I also feel like a woman could get away with it for longer too. You know what I mean? I feel like if a woman decided to be a serial killer, I feel like she could get away with it longer.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think nowadays, I was talking to my wife about, there's so many there's cameras. I think it's very hard to be a serial killer nowadays. A lot harder than it was.
It might be
a few decades ago.
Especially with cell phones and in the digital age, like if you were going to meet someone, like for instance, Jeffrey Dahmer was like, or some of these serial killers were meeting people out in clubs and bars and exchanging numbers, and like in the digital age, let's say if I put my GPS to go meet some woman somewhere, they're going to check my phone whistle and check my GPS to see where the last place I went.
Of course, and they're going to check all the cameras that are in the neighborhood along your path. They're going to see, there he is there walking. Oh, he's walking there.
Yep.
I often wonder if the television shows really have it. Where they, they're looking for somebody and there's like 10 cameras. Oh, there he is walking down the street.
See, but I don't know because I live in Baltimore, right? And Baltimore has a lot of homicides, and majority of the homicides in Baltimore go unsolved. So I question that because like. I know there's a lot of cameras in Baltimore, like, police cameras and stuff. But like, I'm like, well, how did these murders get unsolved? Because most of these are, somebody just walking up and shooting somebody. These are not like serial killer crimes. How come you would think it'd be so much easier if somebody walked up to somebody in broad daylight and shot them? But at the same time, in Baltimore, there's this whole culture of, snitches get stitches and no one wants to say anything.
That's right. I was in Baltimore just last summer. We shot a film there. Our film Son of Gacy. You may have seen part of Son of Gacy Part 1, but Part 2 we actually shot in Baltimore. Our main actor who plays John Gacy, Jeremy Woodworth, lived in Baltimore.
Oh, nice.
And we rented an Airbnb in the place was beautiful that we rented. And we were allowed to shoot there. But it was very violent around there. You didn't want to go there at night, and when the lights went out, you can hear wind like smashing and things like that. When I told my friend Jeremy, we're going to be shooting in Baltimore, he says, "Crazy!" But we did. It's a beautiful city, though. We did go and
beautiful city.
There was a boat there, and the docks. It was very nice
in the harbor area.
The harbor area. Yeah, we went. We had lunch in that region. But it's funny that you should say
it's
when
it's
done. You'll see Baltimore. Well, I live in New Jersey, in North Jersey. It's I'm in the suburbs here, but New York is only about half hour away, so I haven't been there in a while. But
and what's scary about Baltimore, people don't know. You could be on one block, and you're like, "Wow, this is a nice area." And you literally walk the next block, and you're like, you hear pow, 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 pow. You're like, "What the fuck?" Like, it's just like it's block by block, the environment changes.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I don't have any bullets or anything, and you're probably living in hopefully a nice neighborhood. I think every town probably has its low areas. Just have to avoid those, or just hope there's no serial killers lurking.
Oh yes, yes. I mean yes. I mean, killers in general are scary. I mean, because for me, like, I mean, I don't know. I never ever like. I'm trying to think. What I want to be. Actually, I'd rather just be killed by a street violent person than a serial killer. I feel like a serial killer is going to take their time and drag it out.
It's much more intimate,
Yeah,
often, and abusive. Yeah, I mean, ideally, I just like to die in my sleep.
me too. Yes, but
If
if I
I'm
had a
going to
choice,
be murdered, probably a stray bullet would be the way.
yeah, get robbed
Fall.
and shot and just call it a day.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. So you've been making films since 1995.
Yes.
Now, in the year 2024, with the technology and affordable equipment, what
Mhm.
are some changes that you have seen in filmmaking?
Well, I think the biggest change I've noticed is everybody can make a film now. Back in the 90s, we were, well, Psycho Sisters was an exception. We shot that on film, but back then I was using a camcorder for the lower budget stuff, and you literally have to carry around the camcorder, and you had a camera hooked up to it, and then they then they made. Well, first you had the video recorder and a camera, and then they had the camcorder. We were shooting on SVHS. Not that many people had those cameras back then. Now you have soccer moms. I mean, you can shoot on your phone. There's a lot more filmmakers. There's a lot more competition. Just a lot more content out there. So that's the main thing I noticed. Of course, the equipment is significantly more advanced. I was very resistant to go digital. We had everything on mini DV tapes or on film. I just didn't trust digital. Now everything's on film and in the computer. Digital, I mean, you can look at the scenes, as soon as you shoot them.
Yeah.
And as far as modifying, you have all this color correction that we can do Hollywood style color correction right in our own studios. So there's a lot of advancements that make it easier to be a film, and there's a lot more potential filmmakers. So you got to be sharper, and you got to really figure out something that not everybody is doing. I mean, we just talked that everything's has been done before, but to really make it, you've got to find something unique. Like the Blair Witch Project was an example of Paranormal Activity. These were ideas that were pretty innovative, and as a result, these guys made it. So as a filmmaker, I just try not to do the same old thing that everybody else is shooting. You look to see what other filmmakers are doing. Just try to do something really different, either more edgy, more violent, take more chances, more risk, more controversial. I'm not afraid of controversy. I'm not afraid of content, offensive content, if it fits in the context of the story. We shoot in the 70s. We're shooting a 70s theme, like John Gacy, Dean Corll. These guys were killers in the 70s. So we adopted a lot of the 1970s the verbiage, things that you can't really say nowadays.
Yeah, PC culture.
Yeah. Because we're making a film about that era. So we're not afraid. As a result, a lot of my stuff is rejected. We're not on. Not all my stuff is on Amazon Prime because it's rejected because it's too violent, or I've been deleted from YouTube. My trailers have been deleted from YouTube numerous times. Even some of the kid stuff. I did a film called Dental Nightmare, where these kids, almost like Nightmare on Elm Street, where they have a recurrent dream that they're in the dentist.
I've seen the trailer to that one. Yes.
Yeah, we shot these kids big with their teeth being pulled out, and it's all fake. You probably saw the trailer on Vimeo.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kicked off of YouTube.
Wow.
The American Dental Association sent me hate mail, and
really.
Yeah, I got letters from dentists saying that this is a very bad thing to show kids being traumatized in a trailer. And actually, my whole account was deleted because of the Dental Nightmare. I like Vimeo because they don't have as many restrictions in terms of content. But I guess the point is that you have to do something that other people aren't doing if there's any hope of making it, or at least being acknowledged, or at least being seen. And that's what I try to do, push the envelope just a little bit. Fellow Cravings, it's no big deal, but it featured kids, and that was a little bit, it's controversial to hurt kids or kill kids on camera, but we do, and is it tasteful? I don't know. I don't think it's offensive.
No, it's not offensive.
But if Hollywood were to do that, you'd probably see and you'd see him go off camera, and you might hear a scream and the blood splatter on a tree, and that would be the end of it. But we don't settle for that. We try to push it and just like show right in your face what's going on. That's how I try to do films. Just try to be a little edgy and push it just a little beyond what other filmmakers are doing. Some great filmmakers out there, so it's very hard. There's a lot of competition, so you have to be careful. That's the biggest thing I've noticed being in this for so long, that you can't be run of the mill. You gotta push it.
You really and like while I was watching your film, I was like, wow, this is interesting because like you were saying, yes, kids do get killed in horror movies, but it's a cutscene, and like the fact that you actually showed it is something that you don't see.
Right. Yes.
Yes, and I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. A lot of times, though, we'll shoot and we'll kill a kid, and then it'll turn out to be a dream or nightmare. So it kind of makes it nice. You know? Yes. The kid wakes up in bed. That's actually what happened in Dental Nightmare. There's a whole bunch of kids. They all get like really brutally killed, and their teeth are all. But then it turns out it's all just a recurrent nightmare. So
that's
I don't know if that makes it okay or not, but I guess in my sick mind, it does.
Okay. So Pete, where can everyone find you and your films?
Okay, well, you can find me on YouTube if you want to see some of the trailers. It's Pete Jackalow, my name. I'm sure it would come up. I do have a download site where you can download scenes from my films, and you can purchase DVDs. It's gumroad.com/THRpro. I'll send it to you, or perhaps you can post it on your link.
And it'll be down in the description box, so please click on that.
Right. My website, if you're interested in just learning more about it and contacting me, if you're an actor or a filmmaker, or you want to collaborate, or you have ideas, a script writer, that is www.thrprollc.com. It's my company, THR Pro, THR Productions. So it's thrprollc.com. And you'll see a little bit of the history of my content, people I've worked with, some of the content I produced, and it also links to my download site. What I try to do is I have a fan base. It's a few thousand people. It's not mega. People that are fans of serial killer content, and we release scenes so you can kind of see, it's an interesting scene, and then if they want, they can purchase the movie as well. The big thing I'm really excited about, I just want to mention, is the Son of Gacy project, where John Gacy has a long-lost son that aspires to be a serial killer.
Ooh.
So he contacts his father. It's a film I'm working on now, and his father picks out his little black book. And the implication of that, this is all filmmakers, or a lot of filmmakers know each other, actors all know each other. Well, the presumption is that serial killers might know each other. And actually, there is a theory that John Gacy did know Dean Corll and took some ideas from him. Yeah, but we did that in a movie, but it turns out that John Gacy, he used to molest kids and let them go, and he got caught. Then he heard about Dean Corll, who would molest kids and kill them. He thought, So he started killing people. So we believe there might have been communication between serial killers. In my movie, we take that to the nth degree. John Gacy calls some of his friends to give his son advice, like Ted Bundy, Eileen Wuornos, Jeffrey Dahmer. It's my own serial killer universe.
That's interesting.
It may sound ridiculous and funny,
no, it doesn't. That sounds interesting.
It is satirical, but when it comes to the scenes of murder and the scenes with the serial killers, we take it very serious, and we try to be very realistic. And I'd say 80% of the dialogue that the serial killers say is actually from court testimonies, from interviews of these serial killers once they're in jail. We try to make them as realistic as possible, but we put that in a very fantastic fantasy world. That's part of my style. So Son of Gacy is going to be coming out next year, actually this year, 2024, Halloween, and you will get an invite to our premiere.
Yes,
it can be somewhere around here. We'll get a theater and invite some special guests and cast and crew. So look for that.
Where are you at?
I'm in North Jersey, near New York City.
Oh, that's
So
not
we're
far at all.
probably about 3 or 4
2.5.
hours from you.
Yeah, but that's a hop and a skip, man.
Do you ever
I'll
come up to the
definitely get it.
Chiller shows or the New
Yeah,
Jersey Horror Cons?
I do the Monster Manias and all that stuff up there. So
Yeah, Monster Mania. That's a little far for me. I've never been to Monster Mania. You got the New Jersey Horror Con coming up in Atlantic City in a couple of
yep,
weeks. And you
been
got the
there.
Chiller Theater. If you're there, make sure you check me out. I always either I'm a guest there or I'm there as a participant. So
Okay,
you got
let's
to
get
get
you
your
up.
fingers and toes in it. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
got it.
please check out my website and let me know
Most
what you
definitely.
think.
Yes, and listen, everyone, go down into the description box. We have the link to his website down there as well, and to also to check out his movies. Pete, it's been
Yes,
a blast having you on. I
it's
look
been really good.
forward.
You're a good person. I wish you luck on your blog. I saw some of the other content. You're really good. You ask some good questions, and I'll do my best to help send people here and hey, promote independent filmmaking. Hollywood sucks now. They get it all wrong now.
I agree.
Independent filmmakers is really where it's at. You can do anything you want. You don't have to stick to formula, and you can be innovative, and you can be great, and you could make it too. I think.
Yes, you don't need. I mean, you don't need a whole lot of money to do it.
It'd be
Either.
nice to have a whole lot of money, but
It'd be nice, but you don't have to. But I mean, listen, you got to have some money.
you know,
But
you need a good idea. You
yes,
need a good script, and you need good actors.
yes, I agree. And listen, I'm going to be seeing you in Jersey anyway at one of this convention and at the
I hope so.
screening. Okay,
Trevor, it was a pleasure talking to you. It really was. Thank you.
it's a pleasure as well, Pete. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you.